Welcome to Walls and Wire. Today, we're talking about Khairy's sharp critique of U.S. President Donald Trump. This isn't just some minor diplomatic issue, is it? We're looking at a senior Malaysian figure, Khairy, basically launching this two-part public hit on the visiting president.
That's right. It was quite targeted. Khairy's commentary, when you look closely, seems very planned. First, he hit the visuals, the arrival spectacle. That got everyone talking immediately.
Yeah, it's the optics.
But that felt like the setup,
Yeah.
the lead-in to the much heavier political punch.
Which was?
Placing direct moral responsibility on President Trump regarding, well, a huge humanitarian crisis. That's not your everyday diplomatic talk. It felt calculated.
Okay, let's start with that first part, the spectacle, because that really blew up online, didn't it? Khairy jumped on social media, right? And called the whole arrival, including Trump's little dance number after landing. What was the word?
Inappropriate. Just straight up inappropriate.
Simple, but effective. It definitely frames it as showmanship over substance.
And what's interesting is how quickly he connected that sort of casual vibe, the dancing, which, sparked a million memes. He connected that to the display of military hardware used for the arrival itself.
Ah, the fighter jet. FA-18 Super Hornet. He specifically called that out.
He did. He singled out the choice of transport.
Now, hold on. Is that really so unusual? Presidents travel with military assets, big planes, security details. Why focus so much on that specific jet? Is it really excessive?
Oh, that's a fair question. But the type of aircraft matters here, contextually. The FA-18, it's a carrier-based tactical fighter. It's designed for combat, for projecting force quickly.
Okay.
Using that for an arrival instead of, say, Air Force One or a more standard transport aircraft, it sends a different kind of message. It's not just power. It can be seen as, well, aggressive, unnecessarily militaristic in a diplomatic setting.
So Khairy's description, excessive and unnecessary, he's suggesting the pomp, the military flex, was deliberate to distract.
That seems to be the implication. That the sheer swagger of the arrival was maybe intended to overshadow the actual serious issues that needed discussing.
Right. So the criticism wasn't really about Malaysia's welcome or the protocol for receiving a president. It was aimed squarely at Trump's personal choice, arriving like he's in Top Gun, basically.
Exactly. Khairy seemed to be saying that conduct sets a tone. If you're here to talk serious geopolitics, maybe don't land like you're headlining an air show. It undermines the whole purpose.
Okay, that makes sense as a critique of style. But then he pivoted, didn't he? That spectacle critique, the dancing, the jet, that was almost the appetizer for the main course.
Precisely. That was the viral hook. But the real weight, the political core of his comment, came right after. And this is where it shifted from diplomatic etiquette or optics into something much, much heavier. Foreign policy, humanitarian concerns.
He came out with that incredibly direct statement. Let me get it right. We should remember that we have just witnessed a genocide for which this man, Trump, must bear partial responsibility.
Wow. Just laying it out there.
Chap.
From someone who's been in cabinet, a known political figure. That's huge.
It's a monumental charge. Think about the context of sitting U.S. president on an international visit, and Khairy just cuts through all the expected diplomatic niceties, no ambiguity.
The use of the word genocide itself is obviously loaded, very deliberate.
Extremely deliberate. It's a term with immense moral and legal weight, and using it connects instantly with strong public feelings here in Malaysia and, frankly, globally.
And pinning partial responsibility directly on Trump.
Right onto the leader of the world's primary superpower. It positions Khairy, doesn't it, as someone willing to demand accountability, even from the most powerful figures.
When he says partial responsibility, what do you think he's pointing to? Specific policies, actions taken during Trump's presidency? He didn't spell out chapter and verse in that specific post, but the implication hangs heavy in the air. Things like diplomatic stances, military aid decisions, maybe shifts in regional alliances under the Trump administration. Critics like Khairy would argue those kinds of actions enabled or perhaps prolonged the conflict and the suffering.
So by raising it during the arrival fanfare,
He maximized its impact. He uses the spectacle he just criticized to amplify this incredibly serious moral and political message. Smart, in a way.
a very high-risk, high-reward move, though. It plays well locally, perhaps, but internationally, and directly challenging the guest. You'd expect immediate blowback, right? People questioning if he even understands presidential visits, the protocol involved.
Oh, absolutely. And that happened almost instantly. Critics jumped on the arrival, critiqued the jet, the dancing to try and discredit the genocide comment. They tried painting him as, out of his depth. Ignorant of how these things work, maybe just bitter.
So how did he counter that? Because making that kind of accusation and then being accused of not knowing basic procedure, that could backfire badly.
He was ready for it. His defense was pretty clever, actually. He used his own history as proof. Another social media post, this time on Instagram. And he didn't just argue. He showed evidence.
The photo, right. The picture of him back in 2015, standing there on the tarmac at Sepang International Airport, formally receiving President Barack Obama.
Exactly. Tangible proof. It basically said, look, I've literally done this job. I know what diplomatic reception entails.
It completely reframes his criticism. He wasn't complaining about the welcome itself, but about Trump's specific conduct and choices within that welcome.
Precisely. He established his credentials, and then came that killer line, the one that brought it all back home, grounded the whole thing in Malaysian context.
Ah, yes, the challenge to his critics.
He laid out his experience with the Obama photo and then essentially said,
Before you criticize me and accuse me of not knowing etiquette, hold my takeaways and see what I did. Classic.
isn't it just? And that reference, te'oways, iced tea, that's not just a throwaway line. It's a very conscious nod to everyday Malaysian culture. It connects him to the local audience, makes him relatable.
It does. It's like saying, I might be dealing with presidents, but I'm still one of you. Reinforces his credibility against those maybe seen as lecturing from afar.
Right, it shores up his local standing.
But hang on, does that kind of folksy, casual reference, hold my iced tea, risk trivializing the really serious part? The genocide accusation seems like a jarring shift in tone.
That's a really sharp point. Does it dilute the message? Or does it actually strengthen it in a different way? You could argue that by connecting with his Malaysian base first, using that familiar cultural touchstone, he makes them more receptive to his heavier critique. It ensures his main point, the responsibility accusation, isn't just dismissed as out-of-touch political talk. It lands with more weight because it's seen as coming from one of us, validated by that local connection.
Okay, I see that. So secure the home front with the takeaways, then deliver the international punch. It's layered.
It seems quite strategic. He differentiates his critique. It's not about Malaysia dropping the ball on the welcome. It's about Trump's choices. The unnecessary military theater, the perceived lack of decorum, linked directly to a profound moral failing on the world stage.
So you've got these two distinct parts to his attack. The surface level, the dancing, the jet, the showmanship critique, designed for instant buzz.
The attention grabber.
And then the deeper level, the direct, stark accusation linking the president to partial responsibility for genocide. The real political payload.
The spectacle provided the platform, but the accusation was the core message.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? When you weigh Khairy's critique, what hits harder? What's the more potent political move? Is it the attack on the presidential conduct, the inappropriate showmanship, the fighter jet arrival?
Or is it that underlying, incredibly serious charge about political responsibility for a humanitarian disaster?
Something to think about. Where does the real damage lie, politically speaking? In the optics or in the accusation?
Definitely something to consider, how those two elements play off each other in politics, both here and internationally.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.